A group of House Republicans are looking to expel Representative George Santos. So this is following this week's new superseding indictment against Mr. Santos, Vash, or, DeVolder, whatever you want to call it. Again, I have no idea because he has so many different aliases. That said, Representative Anthony D'Esposito had told his constituents on Twitter/X that he will be introducing an expulsion resolution to rid the people's house of fraudster George Santos. So this happened on Wednesday. He told reporters that he considers Santos a stain on the House and on New York State. Yes. Look, not to get too critical of New York, but New York also brought us Donald Trump. So track record, not great. Although, to be fair, also brought us Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. Well, Bernie Sanders, New York City and Vermont, to be fair. And so they both, I'll give them both credit. Am I not fair? Am I not fair? Okay, anyway. D'Esposito said, quote, "It's time that we move on from George Santos." I can't disagree with that. Now, he has at least 4 co-sponsors, all from New York: Nick LaLota, Mike Lawler, Mark Molinaro, Nick Langworthy, and Brandon Williams. LaLota said that he considers Santos to be immoral and untrustworthy. Again, true. And believes that it's going to be pretty easy for him to get the 2/3 of the House to vote to get rid of Santos. I don't know about that. They can't even agree on a speaker. Okay? But LaLota says the sooner he's gone, the better. Yes, so they can get back to, screwing over the American people the legal way. Unlike what Santos is alleged to have done. He is alleged to have committed identity theft, fraud, and other offenses, including allegations that he had made charges on his own donors' credit cards without authorization, and had falsely inflated the campaign's reported receipts with non-existent loans and contributions that were either fabricated or stolen. Wow. One of the alleged schemes included false claims that 10 relatives of Santos and his then campaign treasurer, Nancy Marks, had written large checks to his campaign in order to make it appear that he was raising more money than he was actually raising in order to qualify for assistance from the National Party. Santos and Marks, according to prosecutors, both knew that these individuals had neither made the reported contributions nor given authorization for their personal information to be included in such false public reports. So that's the line to the FEC. Marks pleaded guilty to related conspiracy charges last week. Santos, who was released on $500,000 bond after he pleaded not guilty to the original charges, is scheduled to be arraigned on the superseding indictment on October 27th. So, yeah. Oh boy, when you have a former treasurer for your campaign pleading, pleading guilty, right? That's a problem. That's a big problem. Okay. Yes, big problem for Santos or DeVolder, Ravache, again, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So that said, when Santos found out about this, wasn't exactly happy about it. Well, I know, big shock, right? In fact, here's what he said to reporters, quote, "If they want to be judge, jury, and arbitrator of the whole goddamn thing, let them do it." He said, responding to the resolution as he ran to his office from a Republican conference meeting, "They just want to silence the people of the 3rd Congressional District." Isn't it supposed to be judge, jury, and executioner, not arbitrator? I mean, it seems like you got that one wrong. I don't know. I've never heard judge, jury, and arbitrator before. Maybe he didn't want to use the word executioner. I don't know. But his message is basically,
go for it, bitch. Come at me.
Republican and Republican crime. Oh yes, the best crime. Uh, he also called the charges a witch hunt and has vowed not to resign. So that's massive Trump vibes right there. Witch hunt. I'm not going to resign. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to stay. So we can see, I guess who he's trying to emulate. And in the spirit of emulating Trump, he then made threats against his fellow House Republicans. In fact, very, very Trumpian statement here. He says, I look very much forward to seeing the anti-American attempt by weak rhinos to oust me without giving me my right to due process. Remember, if I'm in fact ousted, fascism will officially be well and alive in the United States of America, and these members will be the champions of it. That's not what fascism is. Not what that means, dude. I do want to remind my dear colleagues, who all but one have deep, long, troubling careers in politics, that I will have a lot of time on my hands to return the favor in the most expedient fashion mankind has ever seen. I'm done with the hypocrisy and the projection coming from the same individuals for the last 10 months. Political warfare does not scare me. I find my strength in God, and with Him in my life, all is possible. Wow. Okay, as I said, Republican crime. Trumpian threats. Gotta love it. Fun. Now, I don't believe a word he says, obviously. Do I really believe that George Santos is sitting there and he's like, all right, I'm going to dig up all this dirt on these congressmen, knowing that all you've alleged to have done in the past? Seriously, you want to go on a I don't know, a dirt finding spree against those people? Seriously, when you got the dirtiest house, come on. And I'm not saying that he couldn't. I'm just saying that why? What would be the point? Look, that said, I don't know if they'll be successful in expelling, George Santos. I think. Look, I'm a cynical person. Okay, and maybe I'm misjudging the situation with my cynicism. Like it is coloring my perception of the situation a little too much. Because I'm thinking, Republicans, they don't care about corruption, right? Most of them, yeah, sure, I'll talk a big game and, all that, but deep down they're all corrupt, right? And so that's my view of this. And so I'm thinking, are they going to actually get rid of George Santos? I don't know. But I do have to think, and this is completely consistent, by the way, with me thinking that pretty much all Republicans are corrupt that are in office, okay? George Santos is an embarrassment. And they really don't like embarrassments in Congress. I mean, okay, sure, they do have a lot of embarrassments. But again, that's coming from me, someone who's on the left who sees all these Republican Congress people, most of them as the utter complete embarrassments to the country. That said, you got to put yourself in the mind frame of a Republican and what they would consider to be an embarrassment, and that's someone who runs scams and gets caught. Yeah. And this is similar to Trump, but it's also very, very different. Some similar crimes, right? At least when it comes to financial stuff. Or just similar in the fact that they're both scam artists. Let's just say that. Both very long scam artists, although George Santos, not very good at it. Trump, extremely good at it. Because he's been running scams probably longer than George Santos has been alive, to be fair. And so Trump has more gravitas. He's better at running these scams, and he's more popular, and he of course had more power as well, and was a celebrity before he even entered politics. So he had all of those advantages plus a ton of money. George Santos doesn't really have any of that. And so it is interesting to see him try to be more Trumpian, especially when it comes to threats against Republicans, where I think they're just going to laugh it off. That said, is it going to come down to, Republicans in the House, actually enough of them getting rid of George Santos? Well, I think the question in that lies in power. Okay? So you're all aware that there's a speakership fight. I mean, you have Steve Scalise, that's like the nominee, but people are like, I don't know about that. He's not getting enough support. And of course, there's Jim Jordan that's also running. And so those are the two contenders right now. And it doesn't look clear that anybody is going to have enough votes. So if every vote counts, well, and they asked George Santos, because again, he still has the ability to cast a vote. If they need it, they're going to ask him. And what's the one thing George Santos is going to want? To stay in power and to be protected. So I could definitely see it going that way. That said, so far, earlier today, Santos claimed that he had reached out to the office of Steve Scalise and that he has been completely ignored. Interesting. So who knows what's going to happen? But the fact that he has been in Congress for so long and that it took not just one group of indictments, but then a superseding indictment that made it worse, that expanded on even more potential crimes. I mean, it took that. That's pretty damning, Like, it makes them think that up to a certain point, Republicans okay with this kind of corruption. And then finally crossed the threshold. And it's like, okay, this is too much for the aforementioned reasons of this is too embarrassing and too blatant and idiot. Learn how to con people our way, which is to lie to them, the voters, while we snuggle up to corporations and get paid. Moron, idiot. Learn how to do it our way and stop embarrassing us. And so if he does get kicked out, it'll be for that reason and that reason alone.